Movies come and go from Netflix all the time, making it a challenge to find out what's worth streaming on a Friday night. Whether you're looking for a classic comedy, a modern piece of science fiction, or a critically acclaimed drama, these are 10 of the best movies streaming on Netflix in April 2019. Director Yorgos Lanthimos mastered the balance of absurdist humor and dystopian fiction in his 2015 film, The Lobster, starring Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz. The film is set in a dystopian universe where single people are given just 45 days to find a romantic partner before being turned into animals. When David's wife leaves him for another man, he attempts to form a relationship in his hotel to avoid being turned into a lobster. In this visually inventive adaptation of the graphic novel series, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World follows Scott, a washed-up 22-year-old both unemployed and crushed by a recent breakup. After meeting the literal girl of his dreams, Scott must battle Ramona's 7 evil exes, while also working to grow as a person and to defeat his own inner demons. Directed by Edgar Wright, Scott Pilgrim pulls from comics, video games, and anime to become something entirely new. Steven Spielberg's 1975 blockbuster thriller Jaws is a landmark in American cinema, the film that single-handedly invented what movies are today, and helping to pave a way for filmmakers like George Lucas and James Cameron. Jaws follows a small town in New England as they're faced with a dangerous shark attack. A trio of men volunteer to help capture the shark in order to prevent tourism losses, but soon find themselves in over their head. Her is Spike Jonze's 4th feature film, and the first featuring his name as the sole screenwriting credit. It also happens to be one of the best films of 2013, a heartbreaking romance tinged with science fiction. The film follows Theodore Twombly, a man who finds himself in a relationship with the artificial intelligence system powering his computer, named Samantha. Perhaps best known as the film that helped to escalate the careers of both Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, Good Will Hunting follows Will Hunting, a young man with a genius-level IQ who works as a janitor at MIT. When a professor discovers him solving a difficult math problem, he decides to help Will by bailing him out of jail and linking him with therapist Sean Maguire, played here by Robin Williams. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind was advertised as a comedy, but it's more accurate to call it a romantic sci-fi drama. The film follows Joel, a troubled man who meets Clementine on a train from Montauk to Rockville Center, New York. The two find themselves connected to each other, and slowly they learn why. Having previously been in a relationship with each other, both used a controversial procedure to forget about each other after a relationship-destroying fight. David Fincher is no stranger to tales of serial killers, but Zodiac represents the first time the director tackled a true story. Zodiac follows investigators and reporters living in San Francisco throughout the 1960s and 1970s as they're hit with a series of gruesome murders. As the killer continues to taunt both the police and the local newspaper, political cartoonist Robert Graysmith finds himself growing obsessed with learning the Zodiac killer's identity. Based on the novel of the same name, Jonathan Demme's 1991 thriller The Silence of the Lambs is often regarded as one of the most influential films of all time. Jodie Foster stars as Clarice Starling, a student at the FBI's training facility. When Starling seeks the advice of Dr. Hannibal Lecter in order to apprehend a new serial killer, she finds herself trapped in a game of cat and mouse between her, Lecter, and Buffalo Bill. A critical darling and a massive box office success, Black Panther tells the story of T'Challa, the king of the African nation of Wakanda who steps in to fill his father's shoes after King T'Chaka dies during the events of Civil War. When T'Challa's rule is challenged by a relative who grew up outside of Wakanda, they'll have to fight it out to figure out who gets to rule. Directed by Ryan Coogler, Black Panther was the first MCU movie to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Adapted from the Cormac McCarthy novel of the same name, No Country for Old Men is often called one of the best films of its decade, and one of the many masterpieces crafted by the Coen brothers. The film follows Llewellyn Moss, a man who discovers a briefcase of money in the desert surrounded by dead men. When he takes the money, he finds himself tracked by Anton Chigurh, a hitman who is determined to kill Llewellyn to reclaim what he sees as his. Movies come and go from Netflix all the time, so make sure you subscribe to Tech Junkie for the latest movie and TV show recommendations on Netflix, and let us know in the comments your pick for the best movies currently streaming.